Some people just aren't motivated or perhaps aren't motivated enough. This really is difficult to know for people that sometimes have the motivation and that they slap labels on these people like lazy, stupid, or uncaring. But there are things which will cause low levels of motivation which don't have anything to try to with the person's cleverness or laziness. Most of the time, low levels of motivation are often cured if the proper techniques are applied. All folks know that practice is useful, or a minimum of during this case, practicing being inspired will assist you to be more motivated within the future. The factors that cause low levels of motivation are often separated up into 4 categories: habitual beliefs, habitual behaviors, personality quirks, and health problems. We'll discuss each of them in detail, but don't be alarmed if you feel as if you fall into more than one. Most people do, and those people still become motivated and achieve their goals. Let's get started. Habitual beliefs that impact motivation levels. A regular belief is some things that you simply have believed for therefore long that it seems inconceivable that it might be false. An individual may need to be heard that individuals say something for such an extended time that they begin thinking it themselves. That's how strong these habitual values are often, and that they are often a serious pain to enhance. But if you would like to enhance your motivation levels, you're getting to need to carefully analyze some beliefs and see if they're creating your lack of inspiration. If that's the case, then carefully assess them to enable you to understand whether or not they are literally true, or whether you've got just held them for therefore long that you simply believe they're. Let us take an example perception to enable you to watch how the method works. Suppose that an overweight person has both of those beliefs: I am ugly, and I'll always be ugly regardless of what proportion weight I lose. How motivated is that person getting to be to lose weight? Why would they provide up food, which sometimes looks like the sole real friend within the world that they need, for something that they believe isn't getting to improve how they appear anyway? That's why habitual beliefs are often such driving forces in stopping motivation. However, they're not always true. Actually, they aren't even logical in many cases. Within the case of the instance above, it's quite evident that reducing your weight would make almost every obese person look better and become healthier, but the perception doesn't take into concern those factors. It merely requires halts the motivation within the songs and turns you towards that piece of cake within the refrigerator. Habitual behaviors are different than habitual beliefs in that they are not based on any particular belief and don't really have a foundation, but you have been doing them for so long that it can be almost impossible to break the habit. Habitual behaviors make us a slave to them even as very much like habitual beliefs, and sometimes we've to require drastic steps to interrupt the habit and form a replacement one which will help us achieve a goal. For instance, if your goal is weight loss, but you've never developed the habit of exercise, or to place it more accurately, you're a slave to the habit of not exercising, you'll find it extremely difficult to try to the primary few times you are doing it, and you would possibly need to force yourself to exercise for quite a while before the habit of non-exercise is broken. Personality quirks. Another source of low motivation comes within the sort of personality quirks. These are things about you personally that aren't habits or beliefs and can't really be changed, although they will sometimes be improved, that affect your motivation in various ways. A very great example of this is often the one that suffers from poor memory. This will make it difficult to urge motivated because they can't remember why they started the steps to realize the goal within the first place. In other words, they need to forget the goal. Health problems. The last source of low motivation is because of health problems, either psychological or physiological. There are actually a number of problems that can cause low motivation, and often, people go through their entire lives undiagnosed and are never able to achieve their goals or do the things that they wanted to do due to this particular problem. Let's go through them one by one to be able to eliminate these as a possible cause of your low motivation. Depression. Depression is by far and wide the most typical problem of low motivation when it comes to psychological problems. Depression can make people want to stay in bed all day, and no matter how much they might want to achieve their goals, they are unable to due to the disease. Usually, once someone is actually diagnosed with depression, getting them on the right antidepressants is a huge step towards helping them achieve their goals. However, bear in mind that even if a person is diagnosed with depression and benefits greatly from getting on the right medication, they still have a whole lot of habits that they're going to have to break to get them to where they can achieve all of their goals. Low blood sugar. People who have low blood sugar can have physiological reactions that make motivation difficult. A diet that consists almost completely on carbohydrates can cause a lack of motivation because the blood sugar spike and then crashes, and if this happens for a long time, the brain actually changes and fatigue sets in. Warning signs are people who don't eat breakfast and people who drink a whole lot of coffee or lots of energy drinks. Brain inflammation. When you have brain inflammation or brain fog, your neurons are firing slower than normal. There are all types of things that can cause this: autoimmune diseases that target mental performance, chronic inflammation, and awareness of food. Hypothyroidism. This is certainly one of the above-mentioned autoimmune diseases where the thyroid gland is being destroyed by the immune system. When you lose your thyroid gland, you are proceeding to experience quite a few symptoms like chronic tiredness, depression, being unmotivated, and even weight gain. Sensitivity to gluten. Not being able to tolerate gluten is a common problem these days, and many foods are going gluten-free because of it. Some of the symptoms of having gluten intolerance, and ingesting gluten anyway, include depression and fatigue that can make it difficult to get up and do anything.